Hi everyone and Happy New Year. It's 2025 now and it's about time I shared with you something I've worked on for about 10 years now. So this is the planet of Varsi Prime. It's a fictional planet and it's a tool I use to help teach people how to create their own creatures. So I'm going to show you how we use it, where we use it, and how you can get involved and design some creatures of your own. First of all, let me play you the introduction video that we used to talk about Varsi Prime. It will explain where the name came from and why we actually even came up with the idea of doing this design, this planetary design idea, and what was the trigger that made us make it in the first place. The thing to remember here is it's something you can get involved in at the end of this video, and we have a group where we're starting to use it, as well as it is available inside our course that we've just launched. But you literally don't need the course, you can just dive right in and just start designing creatures straight away. So watch the little introduction video and then I'll tell you a bit more about the planet.
The Piton Mining Corporation has been sending teams of robots to the outer reaches of the galaxy for generations. When they find a system with the right minerals, they harvest every usable resource that they can. In a quiet backwater at the far end of the galaxy, they came upon the Varsi solar system, which has a sun very, very similar to our own. The fifth planet in that system was named Varsi Prime, being the first habitable planet in that system, and it was on this little blue planet that the drone survey team found life. A lot of life. In fact, an entire ecosystem teeming with thousands of highly developed species. Varsi Prime is a creature design course that we've been running for over 10 years in the UK. Varsi is the Finnish word for STEM. The course started life as a STEM event, so science, technology, engineering and maths, and focused heavily on biology with evolution and technology as we were using the latest graphic equipment. We've now shared all of those data sheets and we want to encourage artists from all kinds of backgrounds to get involved and design a new creature for this world. Something new, something exciting that's just not been seen, but we might see it on the next survey mission. How does it work? So pick your biome from the list that we've got supplied here. Read the brief, make sure you've got a good understanding of what that biome is all about and what makes it unique and challenging for a creature to have evolved in. Design your creature and focus on its suitability to that environment or biome, how it evolved, how does it live, how does it eat, how does it breed, does it move in herds, is it a solitary predator, is it the apex predator? Then build your own portfolio with these pieces of artwork. So share them online, share them on your social media, and of course share them on our Creature Design Facebook group. The rules we're working to are all creatures need to be able to function in that chosen environment. Focus on how it evolved and show evolutionary stages if possible. The Piton Mining survey drones are going to post every week. Follow the Facebook group closely as the drones sometimes post extra challenges. All mediums are allowed and encouraged, including pen, pencil, paint, digital VR, digital 3D, mixed reality, augmented reality, clay, wax, butter, marzipan, tinfoil, basically anything we want. You can use AI if it's derived from your own original work, so a sketch that you've made or a model you've made, but prompting a piece of AI art is not encouraged. Most of all, just have fun learning how to design these creatures for this amazing new planet and hopefully grow as an artist.
So that's Varsi Prime. You're now fully familiar with it. These are the data sheets that we talk about in the video. And what I'll do is I'll talk you through how I might design a creature for a specific part of this planet. And then you can have a go yourself and join in with us if it's something that you want to do. So these are the data sheets and they've got specifics about every one of the biomes available on Varsi Prime. So each of the orange shapes on the map basically match to one of these data sheets. So what we'll do is the one that we're starting with in January 2025 is the deep sea and ocean. So we'll go to that data sheet and we'll have a good look at that and see what it says on there. So the deep sea and the ocean, on the map it's over here. Now this is only one continent. It's got 12 biomes in it, just in the one continent. And off here to the far east is a very, very deep area. And basically what we're looking for you to do from that area is to design the kind of creatures that you'd find in a very, very deep ocean, the Marianas Trench, down inside underwater volcanoes, inside rifts. If you want to go much more towards sci-fi and fantasy, you can think about kaiju in the rifts, that kind of thing. And let's have a look at the actual data sheet itself. So it's got an extremely low temperature and nothing more than 5 degrees. The low temperature doesn't freeze, obviously, because it's in seawater. The traits of some of the animals you're going to see. So sight is not essential. Some creatures can create their own light with bioluminescence. So there's plenty of examples of that on Earth. Can be used to communicate and attract prey. So we're trying to encourage you to put a lot of bioluminescent elements in there. Carcasses from the upper ocean levels can settle on the seafloor, providing scavengers with a food source. So if a dead whale type creature floats, or not floats, the opposite of floats, sinks down to the bottom, then there's there's obviously a lot of scavengers, so you could design scavengers. Vast empty abyss, underwater chasms, peaks, hydrothermal vents on the seafloor, vast amounts of pressure due to the weight of water, and of course there's lack of light, so it's pitch black. Some of the water can be heated by magma, which might give you some, you might want to go for something that specifically lives on these magma outflows. Gigantic life forms detected around tectonic rifts, so that's where we're alluding to the likes of kaiju and things coming through a rift. It's about creature designs. It's not actually anything factual. It's about what you want to make and about giving you a biome for you to go and find your way through the creature designs. So think about that. Rainfall and humidity, obviously none, because it's deep sea underwater. There is 0 fresh water available, and then plant traits, pretty much due to the lack of light down there, there's not a lot of vegetation. There might be on the floating on the surface above these trenches, but there's nothing down there, so there's not even seaweed or plankton or anything like that, in the very lowest levels. Most nutrients come from bacteria around the hydrothermal vents, so think about that, things that might want to hoover up things from around the vents. Definitely be thinking about filter feeders and things that extract nutrients from the water. So that's the data sheet we've got. You can of course use anything that you want. Your research is not limited to this, but on the premise that we're using deep sea and the abyss, let's have a look at a design that I've had a go at. So, the Abyssal Drake, one of the prompts we've got in January 2025, it's a large kaiju-like formidable aquatic predator. So, one of the things I usually do is just dive straight in with what we call a rig. So I think about the creature that I want to design, and I just translate all of its body parts into dots and sticks. It's something I learned from Terrell Whitlatch, who's a very famous creature designer. I quite often, once I've worked it out in that way, I then make it in what we call very rough primitives. So I use either in 3D or 2D, as you're seeing here on the screen. I'll just make basic shapes and block it out. And then once I've got the rough idea of the length of the limb and the size of the creature and everything that I want for it to work in that environment, then I'll do a quick draw over. So here I've just made it fairly transparent in the background, and I'm just doing a line drawing over the top. Then from the line drawing, underneath it, I'll put a colour layer, and I'll basically work the colour into it underneath the line. And this is only one of the suggested ways to do it. There's many ways to be able to create in this way. And again, I don't focus just on 2D. I make a lot of creatures for TV and film, and I have to do the 2D, the 3D, and sometimes VR. So I have no one set way of doing this. So that there could be a million different needs for these kind of creatures. So in terms of Varsi Prime and making creatures for them, we're making one that's fit for the bottom of a trench. So here I'm not using bioluminescence. I've gone for like a really a bright orangey red, which may or may not work for that world. That part of what we do in the groups is we challenge why a thing has got a thing. So how has this creature evolved to have these flashing red areas? So is it a threat? Is it what we call sexual dimorphism, which is where the female and the male are different, and the male has usually ramped up his colours or his attributes to make him attractive to a female? There's all a world of things to consider along the lines of sexual dimorphism. For this creature, I was thinking it's reptilian. It's not as big as some of the biggest kaiju we're going to design for this area. It's got fins that will help it to navigate. So this is faster than the bigger ones that I'll probably design. One of the things on Varsi Prime that we have noticed is that the body plan is pretty much a lot of the mammalian type creatures have got a body plan with 6 eyes and tendrils at the front. Now this particular one, as I was designing it, I didn't follow that body plan. This is a reptile, not a mammal. But again, I've tried different things as I've gone along to see if I can fit it into that style. So what if we try another one and do another style of drawing, really? So here I use the rig idea, but I do a very loose, rough block out in a different way. So I draw it almost like I'm drawing with a pencil. And then I'll just block out the colours in a scene. So I've literally put the blues of the sea, and I'm just using big, bold painting colours. This is how I would, this is on Procreate or in Procreate on an iPad, but it's pretty much how I would do it with gouache in my sketchbooks. So rather than doing a very detailed line drawing here, I'm painting the light and painting the colour onto to the creature. And again, there is no hard and fast rule to this. I try all different ways. I've learned a lot from a lot of different artists, and then depending on what job I'm doing, I might start like this and then move it into 3D. I might start in 3D and paint over that and move it back like this and do it this way. You can see me using tools there digitally, like when you need to do things like liquefy or warp. That's one of the reasons I like using digital over traditional, and I love both. I do a lot of traditional, but quite often I'll have a go at traditional and then bring it in and then be able to morph it around and warp it around. Now with this one on screen, I'm getting a little bit of the lighting in there already, and sometimes I do that on separate layers. Sometimes I'll do it, as you can see here, just all mashed into one. It's really up to you as you're designing. The big thing here is it's almost like an evolved version of the previous creature. So it's got much bigger fins. It's got much more aggressive looking limbs at the front, less fins at the front. And really, you don't need to take a lot when you're designing creatures. It's not like doing the final version of the creatures. What you're doing is you're trying to find your way through the design. So a lot of these might just go in the bin or just stay on the sheet where you're getting your ideas. And I'm spending a lot of time now just playing with those colours again. So I'm playing with the reds and thinking about how the light would drop on it. So, and in the end, this is a creature for the deep dark. So I might darken down the background and everything, but it's good to design it in normally what we do is something called local colour. So we design it as if it was broad daylight with no lighting on it. And I didn't really do that here, but you can see underneath there's a blue light coming up from the bottom, and there's definitely light coming through the top, coming through the fins. So again, lots of different things we can try, lots of different ways that we could evolve a creature like this, even in this early stage. You can see me there trying different lighting scenarios. So I'm doing overlays of colour, so flood fill like a layer above this, and then use something like a blending mode like multiply or overlay, or there's all different settings we can try there, and then keep building on top of that. So you can see how let's set that tail on fire a little bit. So might be a little bit too much there. It probably went a little bit too fiery and a bit too much light coming through the tail, but that gave me an idea that I could use that tail to light that tail up. and then make that more of a defensive thing. So other things that might predate on this creature might go for the tail rather than the body and the head. But again, we're designing here, we're learning, we're trying different things, and sometimes what I'll do is I'll take this design and go completely to a final drawing. If I'm liking what I'm doing, quite often, although I've not seen me do it here in this particular sketch, I'll normally flip it left and right to have a look to see if it's working. That's a really good tip for anyone designing anything, really, is to try it in a reversed angle, and what happens is you can see if your perspective is off. Because that's something I haven't discussed here, is about how to get the perspective right. There, I've removed the entire background, so I wanted to have a look at it as a standalone creature without the background. So I painted it with the background in mind, and now I'm just cleaning it up and finishing some of the painting aspects of it before I move it on. You can see I darkened it down quite a bit there. It looks like what's called an ambient occlusion layer. But there's a few things that I like about it and a few things that I don't like about it. So I'd probably, with a creature like this, I might do several poses of it. Obviously you're only seeing one version of it, but what I do like is if you unfocus your eyes now, the creature does what we call read. So it means you can read it, you know what it is. I keep doing it now as I'm talking to you, so I'm just unfocusing my eyes looking at what I was doing. And now I've done an overlay of a light layer. So this is a new layer on the top, overlay, and then I'm just putting light coming from the top. So when I bring the water back, you can see that it look very different. And another thing I quite often do is, I think I said this in the first creature that we started, is I'll do that entire thing and then go all the way back to the beginning and use that as a reference to do a line drawing. So there is no hard and fast rule about how to do this. It's completely up to you. If you're learning, then take advice from people who have done it. And if you're someone who's doing this for a living, then give that advice out, and come and join us in the groups and share your knowledge. There's plenty of people who will need that kind of knowledge if this is something you do. If you become good, if you can get good with 2D, you can really move that forward into 3D. And if you're very good at 3D and you haven't done 2D, it's good to get back into it because it expands your range. I tend to dance between all of them, and physical as well, because I'm always doing 3D prints. So I do paleo sculpting, I do a lot of dinosaurs professionally. I do a lot of true creatures, so real life creatures, so I quite often get commissioned to do real creatures. But what I do more than anything is horror, sci-fi, and monsters and creatures. So I take all of that knowledge, including my botanical knowledge, and I push it into these creatures in all those different mediums. And you'll never hear me, even though a lot of you may have joined this channel because of Nomad Sculpt, that's only one piece of software that I focus on. It's one of many, many pieces of software, and I don't have a loyalty to any now. I used to be very, very loyal to ZBrush, but there's so many more options now. So you've got 2D painting, you've got pencil, pen, you've got digital 2D, Procreate, Photoshop, Affinity, a wide range of tools there. You've got 3D modeling, 3D sculpting, you've got virtual reality modeling. There's a wide range of skills that you can use to generate the designs that you want. And just to get stuck on one is not helpful these days. And obviously with AI now pushing at our doors, being aware of what that can and can't do, and whether you want to ever even look at that, it's a good thing to do is to understand whether that's something you want to totally ignore or get involved with a little bit. So that's Varsi Prime. That is a vast open world for you to design creatures for a new planet with no humans on it spoiling it. The drones, as we call them, or the pit and mining drones, are going to give you prompts every day. It's in a Facebook group. Links are all down below. There's no cost to it. It's just get involved and get designing creatures. You'll get a daily prompt and you'll get comments and advice as you need. So come on to the Facebook group, come and join us, and don't forget, obviously here on YouTube I'm going to be posting loads of videos about this kind of thing. So if you like this kind of thing, give us a thumbs up. If it's helped you, subscribe to the channel and let me help you create in new and innovative ways.